Don't hit the track. Welcome to the Roadster Rumble, round number 8, the final round tonight from the brand new Jerez circuit here on iRacing. Our 663rd broadcast are about to go live for the final part of qualifying the top 10 shootout in the 86s tonight. This series mixing the 86s and the MX5s together in this fantastic Roadster Rumble series, our last event on this calendar in particular. But brand new circuit tonight, lots of drivers coming here for the first time in the racing world. How will they go? We know this bloke, Jerez will be in tune with anything. He's running around at the moment. Neville Mell as well has also made his way into the top 10 shootout. Wayne Losh and of course Jack Boyd and others, Aaron Oliver out on the track now. Henry Fenson, Glenn Boyd, Damien Seeger also making up that top 10 with what I missed out in there. Who was the other one I missed out? There's definitely another driver out there making it a 10 out of 10 for this shootout. Top time at the moment, Hobbo on a 1 minute 55.284. Pretty similar times at the top, Canto P2, and Logan 1.1 seconds off the pace, sitting in third place. So nice and close. We'll be joined shortly by Greg Holmes as I've just loaded in tonight. A little bit late tonight. I had to finish work late, so just getting myself and my act together now. But we'll get rid of the music and turn up the sounds. And well, you're seeing it for the first time as I am as well. This circuit, new in the iRacing world. We know it so well from MotoGP. It's such a great track. Lone qualifying, so you're not going to see any other cars out on the track at this very moment in time, but they've got the track to themselves. Wayne Losh has gone quickest in the final sector, and that is important for trying to put a lap together. 86 is looking beautiful. Great liveries in this series. They look the part, and as always, this is where we are on Monday night. So welcome aboard. If anyone's out there wants to say g'day, do so. Hello on YouTube, we're also Facebook. Thanks, Graham Ellis saying have a great broadcast. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for everything this season. No worries, it's been a good season. 8 races in the bag. This would be the final one tonight. 2 race format as always. 2 30-minute races with an inverted top 8 as well for the second race tonight. So that should be pretty tasty when we do get down to that point. Then we're taking a break, I think, from Mondays for a little while, which will be good for me and good for everyone, I think, to recharge. Smallish field tonight, about 25 or 26 cars out on the track. Time for a recharge and back, hopefully with season 9 down the track sometime. We've got plenty happening. Bard Rodkin says, let's have a good race. Good luck, Bard, and everyone else out there currently sitting on the grid in 18th place, but I think a few of those positions might be stolen away shortly as the top 8 put their times in. Damien Seeger on the screen right now in the Simworx car, turning in nice and getting a good exit too. They've had to learn this track from scratch, a lot of them. It's learning where the braking zones are, obviously super important, trying to get everything lined up and don't miss your apexes. Easy to run wide, easy just to mess up one sequence of corners which leads into the next, and then all of a sudden you're going backwards. So it's a fantastic looking layout, as you can see. Beautifully done once again by iRacing. They tend to keep topping themselves. It looks pretty heavy on the frames, noticing that a little bit, but yeah, they continue just to impress, don't they? iRacing leading the way. Hey, did you see the teaser for rain? There was a little bit of a teaser. Not sure if it's an April Fool's joke, but there was a chance of rain coming very, very soon in the iRacing world, which I'm excited about. As Jack Boyd goes P2, and now to the top. It is, in fact, Jack Boyd goes to the top with that lap with a 1:55.001. So quarter of a second quicker than Brenton Hobson and Boyd. That's Glenn Boyd sitting P3. Jared Filso, though, is on a lap. He is about to turn it in and I think beat everyone by a pretty good margin. He's put all purple sectors so far. He's coming to the line now, and Jared Filso will cross. Is it a 54? I think we're going to see our first 1 minute 54 for the night. Filso crosses the line now and goes to the top, a 1:54.7. So as expected, decent lap that one, and 1:54.7 the first driver to get into those 1 minute 54s. So decent lap there by Filso. Aaron Oliver needs to get his lap improved slightly. Glenn Boyd's gone quickest of anyone, sector 2. Obviously no giraffe out there. You're running all by yourself, so there's no way you can sneak a little bit of a toe off anyone to get an advantage. You've just got to put it in the hard work all by yourself. Graham Miller says, rain, I struggle in the dry. Well, it will be tricky for some competitors, that's for sure. Have a good race, everyone, says Darren Linus as well. I'm out for tonight, can't wait for next season. So I think a lot of drivers probably, well, it looks like about 15 or so drivers not racing tonight, mainly probably due to the fact it is a paid circuit. You've got to buy this one. It's a new circuit, so most drivers would have to buy it. I had to buy it just prior to the broadcast, another 20 bucks in the iRacing kitty from me and everyone else that's bought this circuit lately. And iRacing raking it in, as they love to do. So yeah, I think a lot of people probably not buying the circuit last round, and sitting this one out, which is a pity because it'd be good to see a big field. I think the effort that's been put in by the organisers warrants everyone rocking up for the last race. But if you're not out on the track, at least you're here in spirit, you're in the chat and getting involved, which is good to see as Phil Cell comes back down that little bit of a back straight away. We watch Jack Boyd P2 pretty close as well at the moment. So let's just keep an eye on some times here. Watching Glenn Boyd, he put in a great sector 2. I'm not sure the rest of the laps followed suit, and Moz isn't improving either. Neither is Neville, and Glenn on this lap stays P5 and is not setting a benchmark in his first sector either. So round and round we go for another one. Countdown is on, 3 minutes 20 seconds to go in this qualifying session. So just riding on board here with Jared Phil. So just having a look at this track for the first time to see exactly what we're up for from an onboard perspective. This goes to show the flow of this circuit. It's decent, using all the track and a little bit too much of the track there. Jared Phil sends it out into the weeds. So he's pushing hard, but that'll be the end of his qualifying session with that little mistake. It looks like Moz is going to sit P4. He's finished up. Neville Mel's also finished up. Glenn Boyd, as we've still got 2 minutes to run down on the clock, he's sitting in 7th place. We're going to drag in Greg Holmes and Andrew Dutch to say g'day to them for the first time tonight. Hello, boys. Welcome to the broadcast. Hopefully it comes through this time. I'll put the right fader up. Hello, boys. Welcome, Greg. Welcome, Andrew.
Hello, mate.
That's better.
Hey, Luke.
How are we doing tonight at this brand new circuit?
Yeah, good. I really love this circuit, so hence the change.
A late change too. Everyone happy?
No, not everyone. But that's always going to happen. I mean, yeah. I've decided to put myself first tonight, Luke, so...
That's it. It's a good track. We love it in MotoGP, obviously. New to iRacing, plenty of people having to learn it for the first time, and pretty close at the top. Jack's gone within, 5/100ths of a second now of Phil, so decent time.
Yeah, Hobbo didn't make the top 10 tonight, so, but I noticed that he's put down a pretty good time, so it won't take him long to get his head around it.
Well, he went half a second off the top time now. Hobbo still sits in P3. Nice message too, just coming through from Keith Logan saying, from Scott and I at Southern Cross Racing, thanks to the admin team, Greg Holmes, Damo, Loshi, Aaron, Moz and Dutchy, another stellar season. What a ripping bunch of blokes. A special mention to all the sponsors, Palmer's, Simworx, Adamson, John, KP, Air, Race Labs, Load Tech, who's you put there, WBT, and a special mention to Luke from Race Stars. Thanks, Keith. That's a nice message coming through.
It is.
So, yeah, last round of the season, round 8. We've obviously going to crown a winner at the end of this one. How are we going in the championship points?
So, I mean, at the top in both classes, I think, you know, Jared Filsell would have to have an absolute shocker. A bit the same with Jess. But the minors are all still fairly close. So, yeah, it'll be a good good night to see who comes out on top for the minor placings in both classes.
All right, well, it's time to go to the grid for our first 2 races tonight. So I'm going to head down there now and I'm going to call it out. So good luck, boys, and let's get racing. Here is the grid for tonight. It's the first race tonight. Jared Filsell puts it on pole position ahead of Jack Boyd, who will start alongside him. Brenton Hobson on the second row, like Greg just said, didn't make the top 10 shootout tonight, but still goes P3. Moz next to him in 4th place. Aaron Losh will start from 5th on the grid, Neville Mell next to him, and then it's Glenn Boyd, Dylan Canto, Henry Fenson and Damien Seeger rounding out your top 10. 11th on the grid, Aaron Oliver, and alongside him Keith Logan out of P12. Decent start for Keith as well. 13th on the grid, Tyson Gordon having another good performance in the MX5 ahead of Anth Cuthbertson. And it's Greg Holmes and Scott Baker on that 8th row of the grid. Reese Belitho and Jesse Carriage down there in 18th place rounds out that top 18. Martindale and Thorne the top 20. Then it's Curtis Hodgetts and Stephen Birchnell. Graham Ellis in 23rd place with Ray Harrison alongside him as we get to the very back of the grid. 25th place it's Paradiso with Roberts next to him. Rodkin and Ruben Borstad at 27th and 28th. Lee Harrison, Andrew Dutch to your top 30. Then it's Cody Harrison and Dave Golgol to be joined right at the back by Michael Nankara. So that's your grid for tonight's race. Jared Filsell will start from the pole. Can he hang on into turn 1 and lead this race as we get underway for the first time here at this brand new circuit? The revs rise and we'll get set to go shortly. We're just waiting on 2 drivers, Lee Harrison and Cody Harrison. The Harrison boys currently just not joining us on the grid. Let's hope they don't have an issue. I reckon they're just sitting it out as long as they can whilst everyone else's tyre temps are going down.
I think they missed qualifying, Luke, so they may have a technical issue because they're both racing from the same location.
Oh, okay. So that's not ideal. Just
no.
Watch. So they haven't gridded up, so we may not see them start the race. Can they get a pit lane starting? Let's hope. Nice to have them still out there if possible. So 33 cars though on the grid, decent effort. In fact, I thought there was less than that. We've got a big grid of cars as we're about to get underway. The revs rise here for the first time on Racestars TV from this circuit. Plenty of wheel spin. The green lights on. They shadow themselves in white smoke there. One of the MX5s dives out in the background. I think it might have been Martindale and also Carriage making a run. Already 2-3 wide in the background. Down through turn 1 we go. Hold on to your hats. Everyone's so far looking pretty well behaved as they all get through. Filsell leads the top 10. In fact, didn't trade any positions at all. They all get through exactly where they started. So perfect job. Filsell out in front. Boyd, Hobson and Moz. There's the smoke still down at the pit straight. Leaving a smoke trail behind them. They did. Keith Logan made a position back in 11th place. He's on the charge. Tyson Gordon behind him and leading. The MX5 is also up a position into 12th outright. Importantly, leading the class ahead of Anth Cuthbertson, who's a couple behind him. There's Cuthbertson in the Stone Cold Racing car, P14. As in front of him, Aaron Oliver starts to attack the MX5 of Tyson Gordon. Should be able to get through him wide. In the background was one of the MX5s also kissing the dirt, coming back onto the racetrack, but out in front, Jared Filsell already half a second lead. There's a look back from his car. You can see that he's got Jack Boyd behind him, and Jack will be trying to run with him as much as he can over this first couple of minutes of the race. How are we going there, Dutchy?
Mate, I'm just pottering around. It's been a while since I've driven one of these things, so I'm just trying to stay out of everyone's road, mate, and yeah, behave.
Back in the saddle, so it must feel good to at least be able to get back in the sim.
Yeah, mate, it is good. Done the 12-hour on Saturday at Sebring, whatever it is. Yeah, had some painkillers to get me through that one. I paid for it on the Sunday, mate.
I bet.
But yeah, no, it's good to be back in, mate, and racing not full time as someone goes around.
Oh, yep. Reese Belitho goes into the fence. One of the Stone Cold Racing cars kisses the barrier, gets going again.
And another one's gone.
That was Billy Martindale, who's also just recovering. Everyone trying to avoid him. And, they go either side of him. They're 4 wide in the MX5s. So it's all happening down towards the back of the field at the moment. And we just pick up more positions dropping as a couple more drivers fall away. So out in front, it's Filsell leading this one. The gap half a second still. I think we're going to probably see a bit of a stalemate, which we tend to for this first half of the race, where drivers are happy just to follow along and not engage too much in a battle. It's incredibly, the top 14 have not traded any positions, so the top 14 are where they started the race. I haven't seen that too often in any series. Usually you do see quite a bit of movement in the top 10 over the first couple of laps, but line astern seems to be the choice around this circuit. is Brenton Hobson, Synergy Sim Racing driver, on your screen out in P3. His teammate just in front, Wayne Losh in 5th place, having a nice run tonight, and being hounded by the Neville Miel car behind him at the moment. Valvoline car looking very, very good. Then Glenn Boyd running at a pace there, trying to keep with this top group. They're quite evenly spaced, and then there's a gap back to, I think it's Aaron Oliver, who's just dropped back. There's starting to be a second pack form now with Oliver, Logan, Gordon and Cuthbertson. Got more fights down the back. Oh, someone's got turned around there. It might have been Borst into the fence, and he spits back onto the racetrack. New damage model on these cars. Looking fantastic, and that's a piece of bumper bars just come flying off one of the MX-5s. We'll get a shot of that in a sec. Let's have a quick look at a replay and work out what on earth just happened there. So here we go. Here's your replay. So we get a look, different angle here. Watch this thing hit the fence and then back onto the racetrack. Here it is. Bang! Bits coming off the car. Glass in the air. Fantastic. Well done, iRacing. So loving that. And plenty of damage to one of the green cars there as well, which will not be handy. In fact, he's back in the pits. Borst is back in there on fire, barbecuing that MX-5 in the pit lane. So, oh dear. Out in front, Boyd is starting to give Philsell a bit of the hurry up, and I got to half think possibly that Jared Philsell's maybe just backed up a little bit here, and he doesn't want to push out too far in front. He's just burning fuel that's pointless to do, so he's just going to hold Jack Boyd and just run the pace that he wants to run here. 154.7 the last lap, a 154.5 was the time Jack Boyd did. So we'll just keep an eye on those lap times, see if Phil Sell doesn't just back that back into the 155. So it's a decent race pace considering they only just dipped into the 154s in qualifying. So decent effort up front here. This is quick racing. Quick shout out to Diggs, by the way, 7 over on Twitch as well. Hello, mate, watching on Twitch. And everyone on YouTube and Facebook. G'day, welcome tonight to this final round of the Roadster Rumble here on your Mondays. Hopefully you're all doing well. You enjoyed a nice first day of the working week, which is never really fun, is it? I woke up this morning, it was raining at about 5 AM when I left for work, and I opened my eyes and went, oh my God, I just want to stay asleep. The dream.
It was one of those days, wasn't
Oh,
it?
mate, that is the dream, isn't it?
It is. I was up very early this morning, and yeah, it was just bucketing down.
Yeah, I had a heap of rain. So anyway, it's one day that snooze button will be applied. One day, in about 30 years. Oh, a big move in the background. We've got 2 cars in the wall. Neville Mill was one of them. He's gone around, took someone with him. We'll see if we can't get a replay on that as well. Was the other car Aaron Oliver? Possibly. Here's the replay. So did they get together? I think Mel just lost the back end. Here he goes. So just watch this big slide out of the corner, and then it's Glenn Boyd in behind just trying to avoid it. Then Mel comes back the other way. Boyd gives him a little bit of a tap-a-rooney, and off into the fence he goes. So crunch back onto the circuit, luckily avoided by the next car coming through. So tell you what, I'm loving this new damage model and what they've done to the MX-5s. It turns the excitement right up when you see bits coming flying off the car like that.
I've done that.
Just having a look at Moz, putting a bit of pressure on Brenton Hobson here. It's good to see the likes of Moz really turning the wick up here against someone who's very experienced with sim racing and has a dive to the inside. That'll be a good overtake if he can pull this off, and he does. So good overtake there on Brenton Hobson, puts Hobson back to 4th now. And they're losing a little bit of touch with the lead. It's already 2.7 seconds now, the gap between 2nd place and 3rd place. So not ideal for Moz, also Hobson and Wayne Losh. They'll be well aware that these guys out in front are getting away. Let's ride on board with Wayne Losh for a moment and have a watch. Braking over the ripple strip so you can just hear the noise. The car decelerated. And then onto the pit straight, using all that curb and more. They're trying to stay in the tow. You can see the exhaust flash out the back of Hobbo's car there. Another nice little touch from iRacing, and Losh stays within half a second of Hobson in front, but not really closing the gap. Hello to Lucas Baker as well. Thanks for the subscribe. Thanks for subscribing on YouTube. Don't forget we've got a brand new YouTube channel, RSTVAU. Make sure you've jumped onto that for us and given us a thumbs and a subscribe and all the other jazz required to make sure you see all the broadcasts that we do. So we still see Phil Sell out in front. I want to go to this battle at the front because Boyd, Jack Boyd that is pushing him along, and if nothing else, they're just helping each other get away. So they're using the old bump draft to great effect here. And they've cleared now a 3.1 second gap over Moz, Hobson and Losh, which I find a bit baffling that these guys can have that much more pace than the likes of Hobson.
It's a bit of a tricky track though, Luke. There's a lot of places that you don't need to brake, but it catches a lot of guys out. I'm just behind Scotty and Ant Cuthbertson at the moment, and the times that they're putting down are fairly slow compared to what we've been able to achieve.
Yep.
But it's a very difficult track to get a clean overtake on.
Yeah, just watch.
You should check your rearview mirror, mate.
I can see you.
Just watching you now, and yeah, there's a good battle in front between Ant and Scott as well. These two are having a good tussle up on two wheels there for the MX-5 of Scott Baker as he clips the curb. But yeah, look, Ant holding his own here, P12 outright, second in class. So that's putting Tyson Gordon once again putting in a ripper stellar performance. 11th outright, leading this class battle by 3 seconds as we see Greg peel into the pit lane. Interesting pit entry as well. You've sort of got to cut to the inside, and it does a U-turn back into the pit lane, and easy to get that wrong, no doubt.
Very, very easy.
Very easy.
And what's your first thoughts on this circuit? What are you enjoying? What are you not enjoying?
Space of it.
And I love the flow. It really does flow, even in the Mazda. See where this brings me out compared to Jesse, who's already pitted.
So we just
Perfect.
There you go. So just
Perfect.
behind Jesse, yeah. So both of you guys have stopped now. And if you can tuck up behind him, he's done well this season, hasn't he, Jesse? He's been one that's really risen up.
Yeah, he's done an exceptional job. He jumped on tonight for the first time. I took him for half a dozen laps. Just gave him some brake markers and some gear shifts for corners, and yeah, he picked it up really quickly.
Yeah. And that's a good thing. You guys do that in this series, take guys under your wing, help them out a little bit. It can be daunting learning a track this sort of length as well the first time.
Yeah, we've been lucky. We've sort of been playing around with a lot of different cars at this circuit. We've had the Formula Fords here. We've had the Renault 2.0, the IR04. We've sort of played around a little bit with different cars, which sort of helps.
Yep. How did the Formula Ford go, by the way? I've heard good reports.
Yeah, it loves this track. It's a great little car, actually. It's actually, by all reports, it's quicker than the Skip Barber.
Yeah, right.
And Skip Barber's got a 2-litre engine. That's got a little 1.6, and it's
Seeing a great bump draft here at the front. Phil Sell leading, Jack Boyd on his bumper bar pushing him along. Any wonder the gap's now 4.5 seconds between second and third place. It's just out of this world. These guys are on another planet at the moment. We saw Jared do very well in the Pro Invitational the other night, and He's just got form, whatever car he jumps in. But Jack Boyd has been able to match him almost throughout this season. The only thing I feel, I wish Hobbo was still there with him. Hobson just not carrying the same sort of pace. His best lap time is a 55.4. The boys in front are upwards of 7/10 quicker outright pace. So that means obviously that Jack Boyd's lifted throughout this season too. And he's been able to match the likes of Jared Philsell. And credit to Jack, he's a pretty young fella, I think, just to be able to do that and put in the time and effort. And his racecraft's been good as well. He doesn't tend to have, and I don't want to speak too soon here, but he doesn't tend to have those awkward incidents that you see guys that are learning their craft. He seems pretty seasoned and very professional.
Yeah, I think most of those guys up the front 10 or so are what most of us aspire to be.
Yep. See a good battle here with Hobson and Moz. Moz getting through on the outside now. Hobson blocks him off. We've been asked for a bit of an update here between Darren Linus says, can you please give an update on how Dave Google and Andrew Clean Racing Roberts are going? So Dave Gogol, or Google he likes to call him, up 12 spots into 20th, having a fight here with Andrew Roberts, who's 19th place. Both those drivers made some good gains early in this race, and there's a little dive down the inside, and thank you very much. He says I'll have that pace. We see so many moves like that in MotoGP. It's almost a block pass. You get through, block them out, and then now the drag race is on down the straightaway. You can just see in the background there as well, there's Greg Holmes and Jesse Carriage. So you're stuck with him, which is the main thing here. You're hoping that's going to pull you forward once Tyson and Andrew Dutch go into the pits, yeah?
I'm actually hoping that Jesse will save me any fuel that I may have skimped on.
Well, you don't want to let Andrew Dutch know your strategy either, because he's right here.
I was about to ask him how much he took on.
Not enough.
So the heat's on between these competitors. This is good to watch. Go and throw a move on him. It's the last race of the season. Greg, send it.
Copy.
He's got a good run through the inside there, Greg. Great traction and out wide. Too much pressure. Jesse goes for a bit of a slide across the dirt, and the grass comes back on. And that was, mate, you came out of that corner right on the apex, hugging it well. Plenty of grip in that MX-5.
Yeah, we had to change the setup again after the last update. It was absolutely terrible.
Right.
The setup that we were using, it was basically undrivable. So.
So that's obviously just come through the natural racing update from RSTVAU, is that right?
I got a sneaking suspicion it's tyre model based on the rain coming.
Yep. Which has been the talk that they are doing a lot of trickery with the tyre model, which is probably the hardest thing to get right when you are trying to simulate rain, is to get, the slip and different obvious areas of traction loss in puddles and all that sort of thing. I'd hate to think how many hours they put in behind the scenes to try and get that right, but yeah, if they are playing with the tyre, the traction, the tyre model, possibly that's the reason. So it's interesting. We've still got 13.5 minutes to go in this race. These guys are gone out in front, 5.1 seconds. Next battle we've got going on is between Glenn Boyd and Brenton Hobson, but there's 6 or 7 car lengths between them. They're not really being able to follow that closely. And then I look back further to Tyson Gordon, because I'm interested to see he is sitting P1 in class, 6th outright, and the gap to you, Greg, is 39 seconds. So how does that make you feel with him still needing to stop?
That's going to be close. That is going to be very close.
What do you reckon the gap is? What do you reckon? What was it when Jesse came in? Do you remember?
No, I'm just trying to work it out. So it's about 15 seconds of stop time to get the fuel on board. And it's a very long pit, and the entrance to the pit is quite tricky.
Yep.
We'll put the hammer down and see if we can reduce that gap somewhat.
Whilst we're doing that, this is a good battle here between Damien Seeger, the WBT racing car, and it's Wayne Losh just in front of him. So a teammate battle. I think we saw this a couple of seasons ago as well. These guys don't mind dusting doors and having a good race against each other.
No, there'll be a bit of chat on in the Discord channel.
I've just proved how tricky that pit lane entry is.
Did you miss it?
Yeah, got a 44-second stop penalty.
Oh dear.
Ouch.
There goes your battle with Greg Holmes.
That's all right.
So, someone else in the pits there. Plenty of cars in the pits now, in fact. Andrew Roberts in as well. And oh, he takes a little bit of a tight turn. It looks like it catches you right at the end of the hook.
It does. It's a very, like, I really underestimated how tight that turn was.
Back out in front, here's the gap. Still a tenth of a second between Phil Sell and Boyd. They're pushing each other around 6 seconds now clear of the rest of the field, with just on 11 and 20 seconds to go, 11 minutes 20 seconds to go. So right on board here with Jack Boyd for a bit. Just watch the way he's piloting this this 86. Let's just watch where he has the run here on Jared. And the whole race they've been following each other. These guys are yet to stop, by the way, so at some point they're going to need to get fuel. Has Jack Boyd, by following as they come into the pits now, has Jack Boyd been able to save enough fuel? We know that Phil Sell, nearly every week, he's fantastic on the fuel saving, but I've got to think maybe after 20 minutes of following around, surely Jack Boyd is at an advantage here. Hobbo's in as well, and Glenn Boyd's at the top 4 pit. The next driver that has stopped that's out on the racetrack is actually Henry Fenson back in 12th. And no, sorry, I do apologise. It's Moz in 7th place. So wait for Moz to come around and see where he ends up. Anth Cuthbertson and Tyson Gordon in the pits as well. There's Moz leading this little train of cars. So he'll come down the pit lane now. Phil Sell is at the pit exit and just rejoining the circuit. Does get out ahead of Jack Boyd. 1.7 seconds the difference. So what on earth has happened there? How did Jack Boyd have such a long pit stop compared to Phil Sell? Let's have a quick look at the data.
Might be auto fuel.
Yeah, we'll have a look at the pit time. First of all, that gives us some indication how much fuel is put in. 7.7 for Phil Sell, 9.1 for Boyd, 8.1 for Hobson, 9 for Moz, 9 for Canto, 9 for Losh, 9 for Seeger, 9.9 for Boyd. So out of the top 8, one of those sticks out like a sore thumb, and it's Jared Phil Sell. Surely he doesn't have enough fuel to finish this race. Otherwise, he's a wizard because he's taken 1.4 seconds less worth of fuel.
He'll find a way.
I wouldn't doubt that he won't. He'll get there, but he may have the tow rope between his legs right now, ready to throw that out the window and hook onto the back of Jack Boyd's car at some point to try and sneak home. But that's a huge difference. You know, sometimes in series like this, you might see half a second, 7/10 difference in stoppage time. But a whole 1.4 seconds, that's a lot of fuel.
That is, especially in the Toyota.
So we could get a little bit of spice at the end of the night tonight. We'll keep an eye on the gap too between these two. It's 1.8 seconds. So the first mission for Jack Boyd is to try and recapture that tow and try and bring himself up onto the back of Jared. Hobson further back, still a bit less than 6 seconds behind Jack Boyd. Then it's Moz further behind him. In fact, he's pulled a bit of a margin now on the rest of the crew here. Brenton Hobson, the person in the box seat for a P1 grid position in race 2, Glenn Boyd, sitting in 8th at the moment, 10 seconds off the lead of this race, and he's got a huge gap behind him. So unless, in fact, he's got Aaron Oliver 6/10 behind him, but behind Oliver then is Daylight back to Henry Fenson, 11 seconds back up the road. So Hobson goes through, crosses the line. Canto, Losh, Seeger, Boyd, then Oliver, then Fenson. That's your top 10. Then it's Keith Logan outside the 10 in 11th place. And a shout out to Graham Ellis tonight, who we haven't seen at all. He's 18th, but up 5 positions. And himself and Dave Gogol get the Hard Charger Awards at the moment. Dave's up 9 positions into 23rd. Decent effort again by them. The gap coming down slightly on this lap, 1.5 seconds now. And with 7.5 to go, Phil Sell's fuel lights already be ticking on. how will he manage this once Boyd does get to the back of him? Unless the other option is that everyone else got it wrong, and
Possible.
Too much fuel maybe. So it's definitely looking like a 1-2 for these guys. In which order? Right now, I'll probably put my money on Jared. We'll have to wait and see. There's a good battle going on between these 4 or 5 cars. This is Dylan Canto leading this pack here. Damien Seeger has got Glenn Boyd for company. Now Glenn, he's not part of the WBT family. He won't care about throwing one down the inside on Damien Seeger here and trying moving himself back into 7th where he started the race. He's currently down 1 position from where he started, which isn't ideal. So let's see what happens there. Aaron Oliver 9th and Henry Fenson rounding out the top 10. Keith Logan 11th, Tyson Gordon 12th place, and Neville Mell your top 13. And Cuthbertson, he started 14th, runs 14th. Greg, you started 15th, you're running 15th. And the P3 currently on for a podium and ahead of Jesse, which is always good, someone who's been so good in this championship.
I'm in 2 minds whether to go after.
Always go after.
Go after?
Always go after. Just look back once again to Seeger, Boyd and Oliver battle. Stay with this one for a moment because I think something is a-brewing right here. Oh, look at this. Aaron Oliver now puts a move on Damien Seeger and gets it done pretty decently. He's going to be out on the outside. Oh, now he's hung out to dry, so good work by both drivers there to give some respect. Oliver just leading by a smidgen, and he stays in front of Seeger, who stays in 9th place. So that was really good respect between those 2 drivers. I think a lot of guys out there would have ended up in the gravel fighting like that, but yeah, good mutual respect. So well done. And we wouldn't expect anything less in this series. On the 8th of 8th rounds in a series, it's a nice way to finish it without any dust-ups that are unnecessary. So good driving all around, and you know what, it has been good driving for 8 rounds. Greg, I know it's had a few ups and downs in the admin department as far as having to deal with little mistakes and issues, but from our perspective of spectating, it's been good racing all series.
It has. It's been fantastic from a race standpoint. The boys have really knuckled down this season, which is great to see. I think a lot of people forget that we've got quite a few novices in this field.
Yeah.
And those boys have really listened and sort of followed direction. So no, it's been great.
Andrew Dutch putting a move on here on Andrew Roberts. He's going to send it up the inside, and following him through the 86 of Stephen Birchnell says, I'll take a position off Mr. Roberts too. Thank you very much. The Frog Leap racing car of Andrew Roberts back to 27th. Good move, Andrew. That one looked pretty straightforward.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, it was. Andrew left me a lot of room there, so pretty easy. I just had to pull it up. Kind of missed me braking marker a bit, so yeah, I was a bit hard on the brakes, harder than what I wanted to be, but yeah, got it done in the end.
I didn't see any smoke, mate, so you weren't that hard on the brakes.
Oh, that's good then.
Back to this battle for 5th, and Wayne Losh down the inside steals one off Dylan Canto. Says thank you, and Glenn Boyd's right in the thick of this as well. Just trying to find his way up another position or two. He's actually moved himself into 7th now, which is not so good for the inverted top 8. It means he's P2 on the grid, but I don't think he really cares too much. I don't think any of them are strategic about trying to finish in 8th so they get that pole.
No, I think just the fact that they're further up the grid for race 2 keeps most of them happy.
Looking very good. So Ray Harrison further down the order, fighting here with John Thorne. John Thorne back a position, Harrison now up in 18th. So it's good to see Harrison did get back out. He did get out on the track, sorry. I think Cody Harrison might have issues. He's down about 5 laps. So whether or not there's a tech issue at their end, it's at least they've got out and been able to do some racing tonight. We'll check in with the race leader. He's sort of half checked out here. He's got an 8/10 of second lead now over Jack Boyd with only 2 minutes to go. So they'll have to do this lap and I think one more. Definitely one more lap after this, I think. So Jack's running out of time here if he wants to try and put a move on Phil. So it's going to be, it'll be one of those line balls again where you've got to do the extra whole lap. Whereas if everyone was 20 or 30 seconds slower, you wouldn't have to do the extra lap. So I don't know if you plan it that way, Greg, but it always seems to be that way. It's going to hurt Jared though if he's that short on fuel, having to do an extra whole lap around here. It's a long circuit.
Take it from someone that's getting old, Luke. The shorter the races, the better for me.
Yeah. All right, this is a good battle. This is still Wayne Losh, Glenn Boyd. These guys have had the battle of the race, in my opinion. Losh, Boyd, Canto, Oliver, all within a second of each other. And clean fighting. All the cars don't have any marks on them. This has been good, clean, wholesome driving between them. And not seeing people spun around. It's just hard racing. So at the moment, the guy with the upper hand is Wayne Losh. He's 2/10 clear. Glenn Boyd and Dylan Canto. Sounds like you're putting in the big ones there, Greg. You working hard?
Very hard, Luke.
He's got Jesse on his tail here, so this is a big good little fight to watch.
I've got a bit of a double jeopardy. I've watched Ant Cuthbertson run off track a few times. So I'm sort of suspecting that he's going to get a couple of penalties for exceeding the 5 limit.
Right.
I'm on a clean race, which is 5 bonus points. So I'm sort of stuck between trying to hold off Jesse, catch Ant, and stay clean.
Okay. Well, you know what I always say, just send it.
Copy.
But yeah, look, Jesse's putting the pressure on too. He's
Yeah,
in your mirrors, and when someone's in your mirrors, it's a bit hard to ignore.
he's found some speed. I'm starting to regret showing him the track now.
Yeah, the apprentice becoming the master.
I think he's been the master most of the season, so
The white flag's out, 1 to go here, and that gap has diminished to nothing now. So Jared Fieldcell by 0.2 of a second. Boyd and then Hobson will be your top 3. In which order we'll know in about 35, 40 seconds time. But now Boyd's really putting some pressure on here, and I reckon Fieldcell is struggling on fuel. He's trying a switch back now, is Jack Boyd. This is going to be a good run to the line. Fieldcell right up on the curb. Boyd out, just touches the dirt. And incredibly close. But that's the closest we've seen, and probably the most feist we've seen from Jack Boyd as well, trying to steal that position away. As he has a big dive to the outside. He's going to try and do a switch or try and hang around the outside here. Coming to the line, he's not going to get it done, or is he? He gets a good exit out of the corner. They run, they actually make some contact, and Fieldcell's out of fuel. Jared Fieldcell's out of fuel, and to the line, taking the checker flag is Jack Boyd, gets the win. Jared Fieldcell most definitely is out of fuel, and the Cofton sputtered on that last corner, and Jack had it perfectly placed to take the win. So great finish to the race. Hobson goes P3, and we knew it was going to be close on fuel for Fieldcell, and he did run out after that 7.7 second stop. It was not enough. As we watch Tyson Gordon coming through, he'll take the win in the MX-5s again. He's driven a beautiful race. I think since about maybe race 3, he switched to the switch, this bloke. He's been unstoppable ever since. Yeah, he's been so good. So to the line, the checker flag waves for Tyson Gordon to take P1. And Cuthbertson comes home with second, and you're going to get yourself a P3 on the podium. Greg Holmes there. Well done. You're going to be pretty happy with that one.
very happy with that, Luke.
Stayed ahead of Jesse, who gets 16th. John Thorne goes 5th in class, 17th outright. Ray Harrison is just pipped Andrew Dutch at the line. It's pretty feisty racing here as well. Dutchy, what's going on? Oh, 3 wide behind him, and someone's gone off the track. Birchnell goes very wide there, comes back on, but this is a super battle. I reckon Andrew Dutch is too busy to chat right now.
A little bit of pressure.
A little bit of pressure. Scott Baker all over the back of him, but he's going to get a run out. Good exit out of the corner, and will take 19th outright, which is 6th in class. Decent.
I'm pushing the limits with off tracks then.
Good drive, but Jack Boyd too strong. He takes the win in race 1. So we'll have a chat to a couple of drivers shortly, and then we get ready for race number 2, which is.
And I'll come back and catch up with you in race 2, Luke.
No worries, mate. Yeah, all good. Go get a drink. We'll get the results up on the screen. And this is a big thanks to iRacing, of course. These are your race 1 results here. And Jack Boyd, the winner by 2.6 seconds. It was definitely not that close when you look at the whole big scheme of things in the race. But Filso running out of fuel right at the end. Unfortunately, didn't have anything left in the tank. Literally, Jared Filso with P2. Brenton Hobson took 3rd for Synergy Sim Racing, 7.1 seconds back. And then as Moz and Glenn Boyd rounding out your top 5. We've got Brenton here with a P3 tonight, mate. Brand new circuit. How was your race out there? And what was your pluses and minuses from that little 30-minute adventure?
The pluses was that I made it to the end. The minus was that I had no idea where I was going for the first half of the race.
So no laps, no practice?
No laps, no practice. Just got into the server in time to get 2 or 3 laps in, and not even enough to get me in the top 10 for qualifying. So I was still very much learning where to go. I was kind of surprised that I qualified 3rd, actually, with all that considered. But, the race was a bit of a struggle there for a few laps.
I'm sure your followers would dob you in if you don't tell us the truth, but did you use the racing line?
No, but maybe I should have, actually. That would have been a much smarter way to go about it.
But obviously, there's little tricks of the trade, like looking at the black part of the road's a good indication of a braking zone.
Yeah, I think, as far as tracks go, it wasn't that hard to learn. I think a lot of the corners are fairly, you can kind of see them coming. You got a bit of an idea. Once you've sort of been around a couple of times, you sort of get a pretty good idea of where they go. So there's a couple that are a bit tricky, the tighter ones. You just got to make sure you slow down enough for them. But with this car, it's more the car and the track combination that's tricky. So learning the track's one thing, but this car doesn't really respond well to overdriving, which is what I was doing too much of at the start. So I had a few major moments in the tight corners, just too hard on the brakes. And once you sort of learn where the track goes a bit better, you can start to get a little bit more flow and keep the mid-corner speed up more and brake a bit earlier and sort of get your lines a bit smoother. So once I figured out that, the pace came to me. But yeah, it took 4 or 5 laps there, and I was sort of trying to defend and race people and stuff all at once while I was doing it. So once I got a little bit of clean air and a little bit of clean track to work with, it started to come together. But those 2 out in front, they're just in another planet. So we'll see what happens here with an invert, but we can probably watch them disappear into the distance again.
Well, the fact that there's no one out on the racetrack right now, no one at all, means to me that everyone's pretty spent after that first race. So is it quite energising, this track?
I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say that it's as bad as a lot of tracks. There's a lot of long sort of sweeping corners here. There's not too much, if it was like a street circuit or something like that, you'd be working really hard. But I feel like it's a very GP sort of a circuit, lots of flowing corners and things like that. So I would say it's actually not that bad physically. I'm not sure why no one's out there, to be honest. But maybe I should be doing some practice. But
like I said, I think someone's going out now. Scott Baker's heading out. But beautiful looking circuit. They've done a good job racing, and thanks for having a chat, Brenton. Hopefully we'll see you. What are you going to start from? P6 on the grid, is that right? I think that's right.
Yeah, I think so. Being a new track, I guess the whole passing thing is something we've got to be a little careful of. Learn what we can and can't get away with, where good passing spots are and stuff like that. So the invert's always a little interesting for that. But I think, even probably compared to the start of this series, but definitely compared to, 2 or 3 seasons ago, the top 8 cars are not actually really that far apart for pace. So it's not like you've got someone who's wobbling around, inverted to first place for the start. The person who finishes 8th here is actually, and I don't know who it is tonight, but the way that the field spread is, the person who finishes 8th in this class right now is actually fairly competitive. So we don't need to worry about people sort of wobbling all over the place. Everyone can hold a line and is pretty quick in the top 10 cars. So safe, it's probably safer than usual, but then of course also perhaps a little harder as well, because everyone's pretty quick. It's not as easy to get to the front. But we'll see what happens here. Just try and keep my nose clean and get to the end.
Awesome, mate. Well, thanks for coming in for a chat. And get out there and kill it in race 2. Look forward to see you racing.
No worries. Thanks, man. See ya.
Thanks, Brendan. All right, that was Brendan Hobson coming in for a quick chat. We've got Andrew Dutch, who's out on the track as well. Going to take a 2-minute break here, just quickly go to drink myself. And we'll be back with you shortly, so don't go anywhere, folks.
Sorry, go ahead.
We are back and getting set now for part 2 of the evening. It's Another 30-minute race coming up. The boys are just out there having their final part of practice now. 10-minute warm-up between, obviously between servers, between races. So just waiting for that 20-second countdown to go down. Then we can go to the grid for race number 2. And what we'll see different in race number 2, where we see someone on a different strategy. Maybe I think Phil Cell will probably put more than 7.7 seconds worth of fuel in the car this time. He might go for the 8 seconds worth of fuel. And that did cost him the win in the end, so we thought it would be tight, and it ended up being costly. Big costly error. Hobson goes quickest of anyone in this warm-up session as Ruben Borst attempts some drifting and goes off the track. So nice attempt, I've got to say, but unfortunately ends up out in the weeds. Right, without further ado, let's take you down now to the grid for race number 2 as they line up. So Aaron Oliver, with this inverted top 8, will start from pole position. Dylan Canto starts alongside him out of second place on the grid. Then it's Wayne Losh on the second row with Glenn Boyd. Alongside him, Moz and Hobson, your top 6. Jared Philsell starts from 7th, and Jack Boyd, the winner of race 1 in the inverted top 8, starts 8th on the grid. Damien Seeger 9th with Keith Logan in top 10. Henry Fenson and Neville Mell, your top 12. As we head further down the field here, 13th on the grid is Tyson Gordon with Ant Cusperson. Then it's Greg Holmes and Carriage starting from 16th place. John Thorne and Harrison, Dutch and Bakey, your top 20. Marndale and Hodgetts down in 22nd. And it's Gogol and Paradiso 24th on the grid. 25th is Birchnell with Roberts alongside him. Belitho and Rodkin, Ellis and Borst down in 30th. And it's Harrison, Nankaro and Lee Harrison at the back of the grid for our second and final race of the season. Let's get set to go racing. Let's get rid of the music, crank up the sound, and wait for this beautiful field of cars to rip away here and get racing. Greg Holmes hasn't started the race. Greg, what's happened there, mate?
We've had technical issues. We are frozen.
Oh, that's no good at all. As we get away, it's challenging at the front here. Dylan Canto leads away 4 wide in the background, and Canto will lead us through the first corner. Further back in the field, they're bunching up. Through goes Damien Seeger as well. In fact, he lost a position, and Aaron Oliver drops back a couple of spots too. It's tight in this first opening lap as the corners compact and get tight on each other in the background. Someone was sliding their way through. That was, I think, Ray Harrison, who's gone back a couple of spots as well. He didn't have an ideal start, but Lee Harrison has started from the pit lane with a car facing the wrong way. Is that Keith Logan? It is. Someone spat straight off the edge of the racetrack as Logan was facing the wrong way. Everyone tried to avoid him, and unfortunately a couple of cars have taken to the dirt as we go back to the lead battle. Canto, Losh, Boyd and Oliver, your top 4, looking pretty good. Hobson up a position into 5th. Phil still hasn't gone up a position. In fact, he's lost one. Jack Boyd's been able to jump ahead of him. I wonder if that's Jared just saying, listen, this time you can lead the way, young Boyd, and I'll follow you, as Hobson on the charge. Interesting to talk to Brenton during the break there and just hear how it's his first time out on the track. He's learning it as he goes, and pretty decent effort to still be able to carry this sort of pace on a first attempt at a track. It's, sometimes you feel like you're flying blind. Like I said, there's a few different methods you can use. You can watch where it's darker on the racetrack. That often means it's a braking zone or part of the racing line where rubber's being put down. But a lot of the time you just got to pin it and hope for the best. Good run out of the corner there. Phil Sell on the back of Boyd. Let's have a quick look at these guys. So still 8th and 7th place respectively here. Phil Sell, he's right on the back of Boyd. In fact, he's helping Jack move up alongside Moz now and sneaks through position done. Boyd will also, Phil Sell will also try and steal the inside line on Moz, and they do get him. So he's lost a couple of positions there. As Moz back to 8th place. Neville Mel's up 3 spots into the top 9 now in that beautiful Valvoline car. He's now chasing down P8. The Valvoline, you know what I mean, machine. I wonder why they never, that would be a great name for the Valvoline team. You know what I mean, machine.
Got a good grip.
It's got a great ring to it, yeah. Valvoline, you know what I mean. Behind him, Seeger WBT Racing. Drops back to 10th as Philip Paradiso has gone off the back of the field. And who else has gone around? Gogol's gone around as well. Sitting on the apex there, just minding the grass as everyone goes through. And gives it a big boot full of MX5 power, and off he goes. As in the background there, Nancaro also troubling the curators. Beautiful job they've done with the sand traps there and putting a couple of big lines through them. So there's a bit of movement down the back of the pack, a bit of fighting going on. Up the front, Dylan Canto still holding his own, half a second clear of Wayne Losh. Aaron Oliver, P3. There's a good chance for Glenn Boyd here, who's sitting in 4th. He's just starting to look like he wants to attack Oliver in front, although his mirrors are full of Brenton Hobson right now, who's got his mirrors full of Jack Boyd, who's moved up another position into 6th now. Phil Sell's going with him. So it's very, very tight at the top of the order here, and Boyd now has a look down the inside on Hobson. Doesn't get the move done just yet, but he's starting to line him up. And Phil Sell going with him the whole time. So we'll stay on this little battle pack at the front. It's a big train of cars. There's the top 10 currently separated by only 3 seconds, and you can put a couple of cars between each of them. That's about all there is. So it's like Pit Street, or the rush. It's like the school rush of an afternoon, you see. Everyone heading off to pick up the kids from school.
I know that pain, mate. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, Graham Ellis says thank you for a good season all. Thank you, Graham, for everything you've also put into the series. And as we see Boyd on Boyd here, this is Jack getting through on Glenn. Glenn doesn't really put up too much of a fight, although Glenn just gets him back just as I say that. So just when I thought Glenn was going to lay over the position, he says, "No way, young fella. Whippersnapper, you're not taking it away that easy." And he slaps him back and takes the position straight back off him. Good racing. And hangs him out to dry as well. Phil Sell moves across, now dives back to the inside. This is a great little scrap for P5 and helping just relieve a bit of the pressure here on Hobson as well. The more these guys fight behind, the more Hobson can look forward and try and catch the back of Aaron Oliver. So decent start from Canto, still leads the race. Gap out to 0.6 of a second, and Losh as well. Both these two are just holding their own and holding everyone at bay. Obviously the pace is a little bit down from the front drivers compared to what we saw in race 1. Hence why we've got this train of cars, but it's really pushing some great racing. Oh, a big dive down the inside there. Jack Boyd on Glenn Boyd. Just points it to the apex and hopes for the best. Now Phil Stell's going to try and capitalise here. As they're still into it, the two Boyds. Glenn Boyd is not giving up this position. I'm loving the fact that he hasn't just laid over and let Jack go through. This is a real show of strength here from Glenn Boyd.
Yeah, I got a good view of that move into turn 1, coming up that front straight there. That was a good dive, that.
Yeah, but Glenn's held his own here, and as Aaron Oliver runs wide, that'll hurt Oliver. I think Hobson should be able to get him, and Jack Boyd will go as well. Jack Boyd's going to get a 2-for-1 deal here. He goes straight down the inside on it's Glenn Boyd, and that's a great move by Glenn too. Took that opportunity as soon as it arose, and he goes up into P3 on the podium. Hobson back to 4th. Jack Boyd sits in 5th. Glenn Boyd has gone from being overtaken by Jack to now being a couple of spots in front and go from strength to strength. This is really clicking for him tonight as we see someone just disappear a little bit down the order. A couple of lap cars also up the road. They'll have to keep their eyes peeled for them, and whoever that is doing a beautiful job just to get out of the way as the top cars come through. So Canto and Losh out in front have got a 2-second margin now back to 3rd, which is Hobson. Hobson's got his work cut out from here. He's just got back past Glenn Boyd, but now Jack's once again attacking Glenn, and Phil Sell just watching very carefully in behind. Now Phil Sell dives to the inside to block it. Still Glenn Boyd just in front by a whisker. Jack will try and get back at him, but Glenn will need to probably defend into turn 1 here. Let's see what he does. We're going to see the same moves we saw a couple of laps ago. Yep. This time he's got it done and dusted. So Jack goes through, and Glenn defends now from Phil Cell. So Jack up into 4th, Glenn back to 5th. Jared Phil Cell runs 6th ahead of Aaron Oliver and Moz. So really good battle, really good scrap here as we see now. Andrew, you're back here in P1, leading your class. You got to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, mate, considering I haven't driven the Mazda for a while, it's quite good to be in front, but I've got my mirrors full of Tyson Gordon at the back, so I can't really make any slip-ups. I've made a few and he's got to the rear pretty quickly, so I'm probably going to pit soon and, yeah, see what comes of it.
Yep. As Glenn just gets passed by Fieldstell, so it was a great effort by Glenn Boyd, but he's now been put back to P6 and needs to probably just try and keep his head down here and stay as close as he can to that white Synergy Sim racing car and run along with him. His race will come to him later on after the pit stops, I think, as we see a bit of Dylan out in front. DC racing car. Currently 4/10 clear. Hobson just starting to reel them in though as we watch the gap for P3 starting to come down. It was over 2 seconds, now it's down to 1.9. Just get that back as quickly as he can. Further back in the pack, Tyson Gordon. We gave him a rap about how well he's driven this season. And he's starting to close in on the back of Andrew Dutch, who's gone into the pits. Andrew, early stop for you. 20 to go.
Yeah, mate, get it over and done with. I'll check my fuel last race and what I put in, and yeah, I'll definitely have enough till the end. So, and if I come out behind Tyson, then I'm in the tow. So it is what it is, mate.
Yeah, good job, Jesse. Behind you now. Sorry, Jesse's P2. Ian Cusperson sitting in 3rd still, and then you got Scotty Baker, Martindale, and Cody Harrison is just ahead of Stephen Birchnell. So there's Stephen, the Stone Cold racing car. P17 probably a bit further back than you'd want to be, considering he's in an 86. There's a bit of pride at stake there. They don't like having the MX-5s in front of them. Here is that front pack once again. You can still see 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 cars here within 5 seconds. It's nice and tight at the front. It's way out of shape. Dylan Canto. That's got to hurt him. Wayne Losh will see that and the eyes would have lit up.
There's been a few tank slappers in this race and even practice.
They seem to be able to catch him though. That's the good thing.
Yeah, I had a few myself. Oh, someone's off. Andrew Roberts and someone. Yeah, I had a few in practice myself, and I think it's a bit harder in the Mazda to catch them, catch a rear end than it is a 86.
Do you think the new tyre model has made it easier or harder to catch slide?
Having not driven it since its update, it's definitely a lot harder.
Right. Bobo dives into the pits there, and he'll try and undercut these drivers around him, so good luck, Brenton. He'll need a nice quick stop. Neville Mills also in, so Canto leads now from Losh, Jack Boyd P3, Jared Philsell 4th. I can't wait till Philsell stop to see how much fuel he puts in this time. He'll probably put 7.8 seconds in, an extra 10th of a second worth of fuel. Damien Seeger as well, P8 tonight, well inside the top 10. Nice drive. A couple of drivers have made up some good positions here as Losh now goes to the lead. Losh in the lead. Canto's just dropped back to 3rd. Not sure what happened there, but Boyd's got between him. Philsell's trying to now have a crack at Dylan as well. He'll go to the outside, runs out of road there, dives back down the inside. He wants to stay on the back of Boyd as much as possible. Probably he's felt that need to stay with him after what happened in race 1, that's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I think Greg said it, or you said it at the top of the broadcast about the tow and how important it is around here. Yeah, you can definitely save a lot of fuel around this track.
Now we've got Jesse with us as well. Jesse, leading your class, mate. How are you going out there? You got a bit of pressure behind with Tyson?
Yeah, we'll see how we go. I'm just going to, I was thinking about pitting, but I'm going to stay out. I've got a fair few incident points, so just trying to keep it clean, keep him behind me, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, it's not easy. The new track, so Greg chucked a bit of a surprise in for everybody this week, so you know, it's always good to shake things up a little bit, that's for sure.
Oh, for sure. And you know, you've been one of the standouts too this season. You've driven so well, got plenty of results. Yourself and Tyson as well. You know, another good scrap forming tonight. What's the best thing you've got out of the last 8 rounds, mate?
Just that we've had some nice clean racing together. You know, it's been with Greg and the guys for 8 seasons, and it's nice to see you know, everything's sort of fallen into place, and you know, we're getting to that nice respectful stage where everybody's racing cleanly, but you know, it's still nice and tight and close. So I guess that's you know, the biggest takeaway for me from this season.
Mate, it's been fantastic, and you've done well. So pat yourself on the back, and make you keep up the good work.
Cheers, mate.
So, Greg, where are you sitting at the moment, mate? You're out there. You're about 10 laps behind. Get everything sorted, mate?
Did you say 10 laps behind?
Only a couple, but it must feel like 10.
I managed to get everything back up and running, and so I sort of figured if I can do 75% of the race and stay clean, I should still pick up my bonus points.
Nice.
I think that's one of the reasons that we do that, is to try and encourage people that even if you have a malfunction, it's still worth jumping back in, and
Yeah.
you still get reward. Whoa. Which way are you going?
Through the smoke cloud there, Greg Holmes appears on the other side in one piece. As a couple of disappearing cars go flying past you. But yeah, you're right. It's I like that. I like that, Greg, that you can still get something out of, you know, what would be nothing in a lot of series.
Yeah, I mean, you know, to me, there's nothing worse than jumping on, you know, for your little couple of hours of sim time, and then you have a technical issue like we just had, and you basically get nothing. So, you know, that was one of the reasons that we came up with the 5 bonus points. The interesting thing, Luke, before I was ceremoniously dumped from the start line, based on the points from race 1, I'm not sure how Tyson...
Hang on a second, we've just had contact at the front. Jack Boyd's gone around. Sorry, Glenn Boyd's gone around. There was 3 wide and just a bit of an awkward collision, I think. I don't think anyone really meant to do that, but it's ended up hurting Glenn Boyd the most. So how much will that slow everyone down? Obviously, Glenn's pitted. Just having a look to see where Jack's gone. Jack's all the way down in 12th place now. So that's not ideal. I wonder if he got a penalty in the pits.
I saw him come out, so...
But obviously everyone's weekend is all planned and set with the F1.
Yeah, I'm going to miss it this year.
It's no good.
I'll be on TV.
Yeah. As we see a flurry of pit stops now from the top 5. We got Phil Sell, Losh, Canto, Seeger all in the lane. Let's put the timer on here for Jared Philsell. See what sort of stoppage time he has this time. It was 7.7 in race 1, and it wasn't enough. So Jared Philsell, where is he? He's done an 8.2. There you go. So an extra half a second, and that should be insurance, I think, for him. being able to finish this race without coughing and losing a position right at the end of the line. So probably smart thinking there. Jesse's now leading the race. Jesse, you're P1, mate, in an MX-5. Decent.
Coming in this lap. Yep. Only got a couple incidents up my sleeve, so we might be getting a drive through yet. Still got 11 minutes to go, so...
Stay out, mate. For 11 minutes, you'll win the race.
Oh, I need to get some fuel, Luke.
I tell you what, Tyson's been all over you as well. He's left and right in your mirrors. He's not letting you forget he's there.
Yeah, no, he's been great competition this season.
Oh, off the track and back on again.
Yeah.
Lap 10 or 30.
2 to go. Yeah, just dropped 2 spots on that move, so we'll I think we'll all 3 of us will be coming into the pit this one. So
pit party at the front here for 3 MX-5s leading the race. Brendan Hobson, by the way, is P4 and will go into the lead. And will be leading once everything is said and done here. So good drive there. He's just in the background with Phil Sell just behind him. So Hobbo, Phil Sell and Jack Boyd is still in the running here. So we're going to have a good little 3-way scrap towards the end. Can Hobbo hang on here? Can he just try some Hobbo magic with a few to go? So just watching the attitude of the car through the corner again. They go up on the ripple strips. Phil Sell looking for a way through. He knows that Jack's there, and whilst he's following Hobbo, this pressure is immense right now. Hobson slides the back end, almost loses the back end. Down the pit straight they go, and this will be a good run. I think Phil Sell might make his move here. He's going to have to go the long way. Boyd goes with him. Boyd may cut back across and try and take both of them here. He doesn't. Jared sort of hung out to dry. Now, Boyd will try and sneak back through. No, he doesn't think about it. So, interesting little fight. The top 3 well clear now, leading the race. Hobson leads 0.2 of a second. Phil Sell dives to the inside. Hobbo's all out of shape. Looks like he almost picked the wrong direction to turn into the corner there. Goes from first to third, unfortunately for Hobbo. So we're back to the Phil Sell Boyd show at the front. And further down the order, Glenn Boyd scrapping here with Aaron Oliver for 7th and 8th place. In fact, it's 8th and 9th. And a good little battle between them as well. So fights all over the place at the moment. Meanwhile, Jesse, who's with us in the comm booth, back in P3 now. Andrew Dutch, also with us. Should be good to see you guys fight each other and commentate the whole time. But Andrew, just up the road, 3.9 seconds clear. Jesse, of you. What are you going to do? What's the plan to try and reel him back in?
I don't think we've got enough time to get him. Dutchy's pretty quick, so unfortunately I'm going to have to just concede the position and maybe try for Tyson in the second. We'll see how we go.
Yeah, Tyson will be a car that'll be hard to pass though. He'll throw everything at you.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see. Well, I'm going to sit behind him. We're a bit tight on fuel, so we'll sit behind him till the last lap, and then we'll try and make a move into the hairpin or something. We'll see how it goes. Nice.
Yep. Well, Phil Sell still leads out in front. They've just started to drop Hobson slightly now. He's 0.8 back. Losh is 4 seconds off the lead, so looks like Losh, Canto and Seeger aren't going to be battling for a podium tonight, although you never know what happens at the front. You don't generally see Phil Sell and Boyd and those guys get into crashing sort of battles, but you just never know at a circle like this as someone goes around. Burchnell, back of your picture there, was just looping it out of sight there. Comes back onto the track. 19th place. Here's Glenn Boyd having this battle that's been prolonged now. It's gone on for about 5 or 6 laps with Aaron Oliver. They're just racing around side by side. It's almost like they're doing some sort of demonstration here. Side by side racing. It's good. Down the back straight now. Trying to pick that braking zone. Glenn Boyd not as late on the brakes there as Aaron Oliver. And Oliver stays 8th. Boyd stays 9th. biggest mover and shaker in the top, or outside of the top 10, I should say, because with the inverted 8, it's easy to get places up, but it's actually Reese Bolitho's up 12 spots, and you've done well too, Andrew. 8 spots to be leading this Class B.
Thank you, mate. Had a lot of things go my way. I think I learnt a lot of mistakes from that first race. That's why I was out doing a warm-up, practicing my pit entry.
Yep.
No, it's good. It's good to be back, and as I run a little bit wide, good to be back in the cockpit racing these boys. It's a good bunch of blokes, so it's good to be back.
That's something that I always talk about, pit entries, obviously grid starts, all those things you can practice in practice time, but a lot of people forget to do that. How worthwhile is it? Obviously, it's, like I'm saying, it's something people forget to do. They get to the start, for example, and they're like, oh, how do I launch this thing again? You do a couple of practice starts, you're ready to go, and you got the feeling, got the muscle memory in place. And the same for the pit entry. I still see some series where you can tell someone's never tried to enter the pit lane at full race speed.
Yeah, well, obviously, just have a look at my pit entry in race 1. That's one thing I forgot to do in practice, was do a pit entry, and knowing that it was tight, I should have practiced, but I didn't. And obviously it cost me a 44-second stop and hold penalty in race 1, so that's what I thought. When I heard you say no one's out at the moment, I thought, oh, damn, I better jump out and do a pit entry practice so I don't make the same mistake twice.
Yep. So 5 minutes to go here. Looks like Phil Sell's hanging on half a second the gap to Boyd and then Hobson. And meanwhile, Keith Logan and Ray Harrison back in 16th place, still scrapping away. And you got to be proud. Butchie and Tyson and Jesse, obviously, Ant's up there as well. You got some 86s behind you, so you're running P11 here. That's really well done, in obviously new track, but in a car that's inferior in a few different ways. The MX-5, you've got it up there and knocking on the door of a P10 outright.
One thing I've noticed is when I've had a few 86s around me out of the final hairpin, the Mazda seems to be a little bit better out of the hairpin than the 86. I was getting a good run on some of the 86s out of the last corner, so it's obviously just that overall speed difference that ends up making the Mazda an inferior car. But I think there's some spots on this track where the Mazda's a bit better than the 86, I'd say.
Yep. As we see Scott Baker giving Ray Harrison a bit of a touch up through the final corner and pushes him a little bit wide. Now, it's amazing when you see him wheel to wheel like that, how much bigger the 86 looks. And then, see what, the MX-5 just accelerated out of that final corner and blitzed him down the pit straight. So you're right, the MX-5 is holding its own around this circuit.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's got a heaps better exit out of that last corner over the 86, so it's
very good. So 3.5 minutes to go. We're watching Jared Philsell still leading this final race of the Roadster Rumble season number 8. A big thanks to all the sponsors you see rotating up in that top right-hand corner. They've been a great help, and Greg, of course, and his little team that put this on each week. It's a great community. It's good to be involved in. If you can get out there and put your Monday nights aside and want to commit to a series, why not consider the Roadster Rumble? Multi-class racing with Class A and Class B, the 86s and the MX-5s, and all sorts of little goodies in this series to make it excellent fun and good close competitive racing, as we see Philsell with Jack Boyd tucked right up underneath that rear wing again. 2 to go in this race. So we start lap 15 now. I want to see him do that dive that he does so well at turn 1, but he doesn't do it just yet. Maybe he'll wait for the last lap. He's really good at just pointing towards the apex, Jack Boyd, and then just going for the move late under brakes. It's a good technique, that, when you can turn in early, point to the apex, and then brake in a straight line. The trick is you got to get it turned so it's facing straight across the road, and then it does shorten up your entry to the apex, so it's going to make you slow out. But if you can somehow block the car once you get in front of them, and also just impede them slightly on exit, you're going to get the move done and you're going to keep the position. So Jack Boyd now gets alongside. Hobson will be loving this. He'll be getting the box seat watching these two battle in front. And the drag race sees Boyd move alongside and into P1. So good overtake. Jack Boyd now leads the race. Phil Sell P2, Hobson third. Good move. So what's Jack Boyd got? He won the first race. You got to say that Phil Sell was probably robbed with that fuel mistake. Didn't take enough fuel. Ran out with a corner to go. What's going to happen in this race? So will Jared reign supreme, or will we see Jack Boyd hang on for a win? We're going to see a lap after this one to decide this final race. And as you can see from that onboard picture, there is nothing in it. This bumper bar was inside the other bumper bar. These two cars glued together and high speed. We've got some lap cars up ahead as well, just getting out of the way nicely. I was going to say maybe will affect them, but nope. Good racing. Got to say too, shout out to those that aren't at the pace of these top runners. They do a good job when they've got to get out of the way, getting out of the way. White flag waves, 1 to go. Hobson's now joined the party as well. 0.6 of a second covering the top 3. Wayne Losh 4th, and then Damien Seeger 5th. Wow, what's going to happen here? What's Phil Sell got on this final lap? What's Jack Boyd got to defend as well? The pit stop times was 9 seconds again for Boyd, 8.2 for Phil Sell. So once again in the favour of Jack Boyd, taking a little bit more fuel on board, which means he can probably push here with no limits at all. Gee, I'd love to see Hobson get up too from P3. Can he sneak something home, something special? Further back in the pack, Dutchy looks like he'll hang on here for a P1 in MX5 land. We'll stay with this battle for the lead though, because it's on. Blocking supreme there by Jack Boyd. He uses all the racetrack. This will hurt him on exit. There's only a couple of corners to go here. He's got to get a good exit out of here, which he does. And now sweeping through the left-hander. Phil Sell goes beside him. Boyd holds on the inside. All the time that he's on the inside like that, it's hurting his exit speed. This is where Phil Sell, if he can hang it out there, he might just take the position away from Jack, and he does. Late on the brakes. Boyd out sideways as well. Then a snap of understeer. You can see the way the front of the car washed out, and Hobson didn't need a second invite. Hobson jumps in on that and says, thank you very much, I'll get in the fight here for P2. Looks like Phil Sell will run away with this now. Hobson's all over the back of Boyd, trying to get past him, out of shape. Real close racing towards the end here. Hobson out of the throttle. You can just hear the big lift there that's cost him slightly. Now into the final corner. It's going to be Jared Phil Sell to take the flag and win the final race of the season in style. But Boyd, will he hang on? He does. Just Hobson goes beside him towards the line, and it's nothing in it. Boyd gets it by 8/100ths of a second. P2, Hobson comes third. Losh will get fourth. What a great final lap that was. And crossing the line, Losh fourth, Seeger fifth. Then it's Canto Mel taking out P7 ahead of Glenn Boyd, who comes home 8th place after a good race. 9th for Aaron Oliver. And Moz will round out your top 10. We go back further to Andrew Dutch in a race of his own here. 4 seconds clear of Gordon. He's done a really good job. Andrew, call it over the line, mate. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, mate. It's good to be back.
Good
Yeah,
race.
It's good to be back.
Takes the win there in class. Tyson Gordon gets second ahead of Ant Cuthbertson, who rounds out your top 3. So some good racing all round. We'll get some results up on the screen shortly. We'll talk to the top 3 and wrap it up here. Greg, for the final Roadster Rumble for this season 8, and it's been a great season, and we'll be able to obviously name a champion hopefully tonight. If not, if you got to crunch some numbers still, obviously that will be up on the Facebook page in the next day or two. So join up Facebook, it's linked in the description, and give us a minute or two. We should have some results and be able to talk to some drivers. So as we just wait for the results to be made available from iRacing, There is Jared Filsell, who in the end made it look quite easy, with the others just dropping off slightly with that battle. But how good was the Boyd and Hobson battle of the last couple of corners? So good to watch. We just wait. Oh, there's your race 1 results. Just to recap: Jack Boyd, Jared Filsell, Brenton Hobson. That was race 1. Obviously, we just wait now for race 2 to be made available, and here it is now. So your race 2 results coming up on the screen now, and it's a fantastic win there for Jared Filsell, who takes it by a second over Jack Boyd, then Brenton Hobson, your top 3. Congratulations, Jared. Good race, man. Probably feeling a bit hard done by race 1, running out of fuel. Race 2, you put that little bit of extra fuel in the car and brought it home strong.
Yeah, I'll blame my timing software for that one. Yeah, magically took 600 mils away from me for some reason on the last lap. Yeah, that's just an oversight on my behalf. But that was a cool race. Just tried to hold off Jack in the first race there, but yeah, it's coughed coming into the last corner, so I knew I was done for.
Yeah, man, it was good to watch. Brand new track, obviously. Have you got much experience with this one?
I did a lot of Formula Ford laps around here when that thing came out, so that's my only experience around here. Pretty similar lap speed, and car balance feels very similar, so yeah, it wasn't too difficult.
Yeah, well, good racing tonight, mate. Congratulations, P1 and P2, Jack. Mate, you had some great fights tonight as well. Good to see you, right up there. And throughout this season, you've just increased your ability, mate, and speed every race. And yeah, well done, P2.
Yeah, thank you. Thought the pace was alright tonight. Didn't even know this track existed, to be honest, till about 4 hours ago. So yeah, it was good to learn a new track and yeah, just race on something completely different. So yeah, it was good fun racing with the lads as always. Teammates in other series. So yeah, just a lot of fun.
And Hobbo really put a couple of moves on you at the end there. That was exciting.
Yeah, I had a crack at Jared, and yeah, I'm not sure if the track is just different. As soon as you got offline, the thing just cranked sideways. So yeah, look, we had a crack. It was it was good fun. Lucky to hang on to it in the end there though, but yeah, I'm sure it looked good on the stream.
It did, mate. Well done, Brenton, as well. P3 tonight. Right there at the end, that was great.
Yeah, I lucked into it. Those guys have started racing each other. I couldn't even keep up with them in the draft a couple of laps before, so yeah, they got side by side, stuck my nose in, but wasn't really ever going to work out, I don't think. But it's good fun to be there. Looking forward to hopefully next season doing something different car or whatever. Put these things behind us. The longer the season's gone on, the harder I've found them to drive. So I'll be looking forward to doing something different next season, hopefully. But nonetheless, this one was good. It's good to have Jared in here, and as always, Jack. And yeah, get out and bang door handles with them.
Beautiful job. Let's do thank yous for the top 3. So Jared, who would you like to thank, mate?
Obviously Greg for hosting the whole event. Without him, we wouldn't be racing. So first and foremost, as well as you, Luke, for putting on a broadcast so all the fans can go back and watch it and show your partner or do whatever. Just let her know why you've abandoned her on a Monday night. It's been cool. Getting a different car every now and again. Obviously, with a few of the guys' sponsors on the cars, it's cool to represent them outside of other series and whatnot. So yeah, it's great to give those guys the recognition they deserve.
Yeah, well said, man. It's been great having you for this season. So hopefully you're back for more, and thanks and congratulations on all the great results.
Yeah, cheers, thanks.
Great job. Jack, who would you like to thank, mate? P2 tonight, and you've also been a standout throughout the season. Who would you like to thank?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just a quick thanks to Jared and Brenton. It's or Hobbo. It's always good to race in something else where it's fixed and it's just good racing instead of working on a setup, practicing for hours each week. So yeah, I really enjoy that. Thanks Greg and team for putting it all together, thinking of new things. We had a different car, a few different tracks this season. So yeah, really enjoyed that. And yeah, thanks to yourself for the stream. Thank you.
Well done, mate. And then finally, Hobbo88. Well done tonight, P3, mate. Who would you like to thank? Another standout for this series, this season, as always. It's been great watching your race. Have you got some people you want to thank?
Not really anything outside of what the others have already said. I mean, thanks to everyone involved with running the series. There's a few people that work behind the scenes to make it all happen, and without all those people involved, it wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be doing it. So thanks to all of them, and of course yourself for the broadcast, the sponsors that are attached to the series as well. And yeah, to everyone out on track that we get to go out and race against. It's a good league, good bunch of people to race against, a lot of respect and a lot of fun.
Oh, well done, mate. Congratulations. So that's your top 3 from Class A. Jared Filser with the win tonight, Jack Boyd P2 and Brenton Hobson P3. Congratulations, boys. We'll throw it across now to Group B and a quick word with Andrew Dutch, mate. Well done tonight, leading and winning that second race. So congratulations. Anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, mate, obviously Greg and the admin boys are putting this series together. Obviously I've been a bit away this season, so it was good to get one more run with the boys. Yourself for the stream, thanks for having me throughout the season in that little commentating role. Hopefully it didn't scare too many people away from your broadcast.
Great asset, mate. Thank you.
Just, yeah, all the sponsors that have jumped on board for me to give me a car to work with. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I've got, mate.
Well done, yeah, and thank you for helping me out. You've been a great asset, so thank you.
It's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you.
Awesome, and I think we've also got Tyson. Mate, you've driven so well this season. Congratulations.
Thanks, mate.
And also, who else have we got here? I think Jesse. Jesse, I'm not sure if you've been reigned the champion in Group B, but mate, you've driven so well. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, Luke. It's been good this season. We've had some good competition up front, so good to see Dutchy make a few appearances this season with his dodgy hand. He still runs rings around us, even though he's injured. But it'll be good to see what he can come up with next season with the rest of us boys, and see if we can keep it all entertaining up the front like the guys do in the A class. So yeah, just shout out to the admin team and all the fans that watch and the missus that let everybody do it, and of course you, Luke, that put it on every week. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome, mate. And just quickly, Tyson, did you want to say anything or any thanks?
Just congratulations to Jesse, and thanks to everybody for putting the league on, all the sponsors. You, Luke, your telecast is fantastic, and it's great fun. Get involved.
Legend. Thanks, mate. You've driven so well too. So, Greg, we'll throw it to you, mate. We'll finish, wrap it up at great another season 8 for the Roadster Rumble, run and done. And big credit to you, mate. I know a lot of work goes in behind the scenes. I've organised series back in the day. People have got no idea until they actually have a crack at putting one of these together. So well done on behalf of everyone, and thank you for all your time and efforts.
Yeah, thanks, Luke. Especially want to thank you because the ideas and working with somebody that is as professional as what you are with the broadcast makes my job so much easier. I do want to shout a big shout out to especially Wayne Losh and Damien Seeger this season. The boys have put in endless hours to make it all come together. The other admin boys, when they're available, always do their bit. But as we all find out, sometimes life gets in the way. Big congratulations and a special thank you to Jared Filsell. He did win Class A. And I mean, at the start of the season, we sort of said, look, we got some big names coming to race. To Jared's credit, he stuck with us the whole season. He's done a fantastic job. Jack Boyd, second. You don't need to say much. Jack's been with us for a long time and does it week in, week out. And Hobbo in third, which was great to see. The three boys take out the podium. Congratulations to Jesse. He was pretty much untouchable in Class B. I think based on the points, as far as I know, I was level going into that last race with Tyson. So I believe Tyson may have snatched second spot, which is very well deserved, and I'm not sure for third. That will get down to potentially it could even be Ant Cuthbertson, which would be great to see grab a podium as well for all his hard work this season. But yeah, just in closing, a big thank you to our sponsors. Simworx have jumped on board. The boys are always giving us some ideas and throwing up some equipment for prizes. So we're always grateful for that. Palmer's, obviously my wife. They make sure that they look after us. Lockyer Mechanical this season has thrown in some money. And I do want to make a special shout out to Keith Logan. I mean, Keith is one of those boys that he jumps in every time we put up a session. He's always there. He's always cracking jokes. He's always having fun when But when it gets down to the serious stuff, he's always serious. And Keith donates, his hard-earned money towards the league as well, which is fantastic. So without guys like Keith, I don't think we would survive, because it's those sort of people that motivate me week in and week out to keep going. So that pretty much wraps up season 8. I can tell you that I'm going to take a bit of a break over April, which you'll probably be rapt to hear. So we'll be back probably the first week of May with the official season 9. And I can tell you, for anybody out there that wants to get involved, I've already working on some changes. There will be some big changes in season 9, and without letting too much out of the bag, we may see some of the hot shots back in the Mazda.
Yep.
And some of the other guys staying in the 86.
Okay.
So Hobbo may get his wish.
Very good. Well, it's been a great season. Thanks, Greg, again. Thanks, Keith, and everyone else that puts in for this series. It's fantastic, and it's a good way to spend your Monday night. So get involved, look them up on Facebook, join the group, get out for some practices, some social time, and get to know a few of the drivers, and mate, you'll love every minute of it. So thanks again. Thanks for everyone that's tuned in and watched too, and subscribed to the channel over the last 8 weeks. It's great to see a few viewing numbers up there, and I'm sure people appreciate the work goes into this, and watching it back makes it worthwhile. So until next time, thanks everyone, and we'll catch you soon.
Thanks, Luke.
Cheers, guys. All right, that's it for me, and thanks again, like I said, to everyone that tunes in each week. If the viewer count goes to 0, there ain't no point doing it. So take care, guys, and look after yourselves. Good night.